So Baphomet is just a French name for the man goats. So I don't know if I've done this before, but let me just do a quick crash course on Baphomet. So in the Bible, there's somebody called Lucifer. Now, technically, there's no Lucifer. I mean, it's a Latin word in the Old Testament, which is impossible. It's not actually a name. It's actually another name for the goddess Venus, an appellation. So how it got into the Bible was that the guy who translated the Bible into Latin for the Roman Church, his name was Saint Jerome. He translated the word. You see, that word in Hebrew is Halel. This is in Isaiah chapter 14. How have you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? So in Hebrew, that word Halel means to be clearly visible. And in modern Hebrew, it means the shining one or the bright one. And it was used as an appellation for the morning star, for what we call the planet Venus. In a similar way that the word Lucifer was just another name for Venus, the goddess. So Jerome sort of drew that conclusion, theoretically. And so he placed the word Lucifer in there, and then that carried into the Reformation, and people translating the Bible during the Reformation kept that name. But if you check the more recent translations of the Bible, you'll find that they took the word Lucifer out, and they replaced it with morning star. But morning star is still making the same mistake of assuming that you must translate the word Halel as an appellation for the morning star. So the most literal way to put it is saying, how have you fallen from heaven, O shining one or bright one. The literal meaning means one who is clearly visible. So the sort of the ultimate of light, the ultimate of visibility. And then he calls him, Isaiah calls him son of the morning or descendant of dawn. So getting into mythology now, so going all the way back to Egypt, there was a god called Aten, and there was a pharaoh, Amenhotep IV, who worshipped this god called Aten. Now the science behind Aten is that he's the emanation of Ra, so he's the rays coming out of the sun. So we would say today either light or light waves, or as we know, it's a photon particle wave, so it's an electromagnetic wave. So that god of Akhenaten is the god of the electromagnetic wave of light, which comes out of Ra. And we can call Ra Amun-Ra, but Amun is more the father, and Ra is more the Apollo god, the sun. So Aten is the particle which permeates matter, the photon, which is spontaneously created whenever there's a change in energy in an atom. So that god Aten is this descendant of dawn, descendant of the morning. So in the East, it was under Zoroastrianism and Persian and Hindu religion. That god was called Mithra, and he's also known as the particle that permeates everything. Which again goes back to a lot of these gods overlap because their science wasn't very good at those days, so they didn't classify things properly. So there's a phenomenon, or there's an idea called I think it's called the Ankh, and the Ankh is the life spirit, and this emanates from the god Amun, and it permeates everything, all matter that exists. So that could then be a crossover between Aten, the Ankh and the Aten are crossing over. So usually the Aten was depicted with an Ankh. You know, the Ankh is like a cross, but with the teardrop at the top, like a handle. So it could be that they're the same, that the emanation of Amun himself, or as Amun-Ra, is Aten, is that Ankh. So anyway, so in the West, it's Aten. Oh well, in Egypt the original is Aten. In the West, it's Venus or Lucifer, and in the East, it's Mithras. So that's those three names then: Lucifer, Aten, and Mithras. Lam. Yeah. So when you say Baphomet, you're referring to the goat, the human goat, and I'm pretty sure I explained this to you before, but the human goat represents that Lucifer, right? It doesn't represent Satan or anything like that. A lot of people think that it does. And that pentagram, right? The two horns up, the one horn down, and two to the side. That is a representation of the female reproductive system. Maybe I should find a photo and send it to you. But that is the womb, and that symbolizes the incarnation of this God. He uses genetic modification to incarnate himself into humans, and humans carry his spirit. So that's why he's called the King of Babylon. And he's actually called a man in Isaiah chapter 14. He's not called a god, even though what's described there he says, "I'll ascend to the utmost heights above the clouds, and set myself up with the stars, and set my throne above the stars of God," which is something that sounds like a god will do. But everything else is there. It's described as a man, and it says that when he is brought low to the grave, and worms cover him, and to the bottom of the pits, the kings will say, "Is this not the man who laid the nations waste and refused to let his captives go home," and such things. So this God rules by incarnating himself into different nations, and especially Babylon, and so he's sort of the guy who's pushing the modern agenda of the Einsteins and the Elons and the Newtons and such, all the modern geniuses who, especially Einstein, who made massive strides within electromagnetic science or electromagnetic energy discoveries and such things. So we are living in his age, in the age of Atom now, in the age of the microwave, the electromagnetic wave. So that's who the man goat is. And I think I showed you the picture of Elon wearing this massive thing with the man goat. And if you look at the Tesla logo, it's also a representation of the female reproductive system.